Hello everyone, thank you for joining me. I'm Kerry. Today I'll be showing you how to crochet a snail. When crocheted using 8-ply yarn and a 3mm hook, this large one, the size is 8.5 centimeters wide by 6.5 centimeters or 3.5 inches wide by 2.5 inches. This medium snail, crocheted using 4-ply crochet cotton and a 1.5mm hook, is 5.5 centimeters wide by 4.5 centimeters or 2 inches wide by 1 3/4 inches. This small snail, crocheted using 2-ply crochet cotton and a 1mm hook, is 4 centimeters wide by 3.5 centimeters or 1 3/4 inches wide by 1.5 inches. I'll be using Catona cotton, so the size will be slightly smaller than this large one. I'll tell you the size at the end of the video. I'll be using Catona cotton. I've got 515 emerald, 513 spring green, 179 topaz and 162 black coffee. I've got a 2.5mm crochet hook, scissors, white paint to add a small white dot in the centre of the eyes. You could use white thread if you prefer. I've got black thread to stitch down the beads and red to embroider on the mouth. And I've got a darning needle to weave in the ends and black beads for the eyes. Now we're starting on the centre of the shell there. I've got my 179, the topaz, and we start with a magic loop. There's lots of ways to make a magic loop, so make it how you feel most comfortable. I just put my hook on the yarn, bring the short end over the hook and then the long end over the short end to make a circle, then yarn around the hook and bring the hook with the yarn at the end through the circle. And that's my magic loop. For row 1 we start with 1 chain. Into our circle we're going to work 1 single crochet. That's a double crochet using UK terms. For a single crochet, put your hook in through the circle and bring up a loop. Yarn around the hook and take the hook with the yarn at the end through both loops. Then we'll work 1 half double crochet into our circle. That's a half treble using UK terms. For a half double crochet, put the yarn around the hook, hook in through the circle and bring up a loop. Yarn around the hook and take the hook with this yarn at the end through the 3 loops. Then we're going to work 3 double crochet into the circle. A double crochet is a treble using UK terms. For a double crochet, put the yarn around the hook, hook into the circle and bring up a loop. Yarn around the hook, take the hook with the yarn at the end through 2 loops. Yarn around the hook, hook with the yarn at the end through 2 loops. We need 2 more double crochet into our circle. Now we're going to pull our circle tight, so we take hold of this tail and ease it in as tight as we can. We're not going to join, we're just going to continue working around our circle so it kind of spirals. From now on we're going to be working in the back loop only. The front loop is going to be left to work this contrast into it. So now we're going to work 2 double crochet in the back loop only of each of the 5 stitches from row 1. Now this is the front loop and this is the back loop here. So 2 double crochet in the back loop only of each stitch. So we'll have 10 stitches. Now that's row 2 done. Now we're just going to continue working around our circle in the back loop only. For row 3 we're going to work 2 double crochet in the back loop only of the next 14 stitches. So we just go around until we've worked into 14 stitches. We'll have 28 stitches. So 2 double crochet in the back loop only of the next 14 stitches. Now that's the 2 into each of the 14 stitches. Now we're going to work 1 chain and we're going to work 2 single crochet down the side of our last double crochet. So just find a place to put your hook down the side there. Now work 1 single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch and then slip stitch in the following stitch. So put your hook into the next stitch, bring through a loop and take it straight through the loop on the hook, and then we fasten off. And that's the shell done. The centre bit will stick up a little bit, particularly before you put the other colour around. So I'll weave in these ends and I'll be back with the black coffee and we'll work around the loops we left. Now for this contrast, I've got my 162, the black coffee, and I'm going to join in the first front loop left, so it's fairly close to the centre, this one here. Just join through it and work 1 chain. Now it's best to work quite loosely around these, and we're going to slip stitch in each of these front loops left. So just put your hook into the stitch, bring through a loop and take it straight through the loop on the hook, and then just work around these loops left. It can be a bit hard to see them. They just circle around. And then once you get to the outside shell, we're going to work in the back loop only, just a slip stitch in each stitch around the shell, quite loosely. At the corner I work a slip stitch, then one chain, and then slip stitch in the same stitch, and then just work one slip stitch in each stitch along that bottom part. And then slip stitch into the next stitch along the bottom of the shell there and fasten off. Now that's the shell done. I'll weave in these ends because when we're working the head and the body, we'll join along the bottom part there. So I'll do that and I'll be back with my emerald and we'll start working the head and then the body. Now we're going to start on the top of the head. We'll work down the head and then work the body, the darker green first and then the lighter green. So I've got my 515, the emerald, and we start with 4 chain. For row 1 we miss the first chain and work 1 single crochet in each of the 3 remaining chain. For row 2 we start with 1 chain and turn. We work 2 single crochet into the first stitch. 1 single crochet into the next stitch and 2 single crochet into the last stitch. For row 3, we start with 1 chain and turn and work 1 single crochet in each of the 5 stitches. For row 4, we start with 1 chain and turn. We work a joined single crochet over the first 2 stitches. So put your hook into the first stitch and bring up a loop, and hook into the next stitch and bring up a loop. There's 3 loops on the hook. Put the yarn around the hook and take the hook with the yarn at the end through all the loops. Then work 1 single crochet into the next stitch and a joined single crochet over the last 2 stitches. And that's the head bit done. Now we'll start on the body. We work 3 chain and we'll join it to the shell now. We start at this corner here and we work 1 single crochet into each of the first 9 stitches. So just find the outside loop of the stitches and work into 9 stitches. Now we work 3 chain, that's for the tail part. For row 2 of the body, we work 1 slip stitch in the second chain from the hook, and then one single crochet into the last chain. Then we work 1 single crochet into each of the next 5 stitches along the body. Then work 2 half double crochet into each of the next 4 stitches. Then work 1 single crochet in the middle chain and then 1 single crochet into the last chain before the head, and then slip stitch in the first stitch along the head, and then we fasten off. That's the darker green part done. Now I'll just weave in these ends so it's easier for you to see when I'm working this lighter colour. For the under section, the lighter green, I've got my 513, the spring green, and I join it to the next stitch along the head. We're going to miss the last stitch. We work 2 half double crochet in the first stitch. And then 1 double crochet into each of the next 4 stitches. That's a treble using UK terms. So 1 double crochet into each of the next 4 stitches. Two double crochet into the following stitch. And then 1 half double crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. One single crochet into each of the following 4 stitches. Work 2 single crochet into the next stitch, and 1 single crochet into each remaining stitch. And then slip stitch into the point at the end. And fasten off. And that's the body done. I'll just weave in the ends and I'll be back and we'll do a little neatening row from the shell up around the heads. We'll do the antenna and then a neatening row to just the light green. Now for the neatening row and the antenna, we join just at the bottom of the shell there. And work 1 slip stitch in each stitch up the neck, and then round the side of the head, just up to the first stitch along the top. We've got 3 stitches along the top. Slip stitch into the first stitch along the top, and then we work 4 chain for the first antenna. We work 1 half double crochet in the second chain from the hook. And then 1 slip stitch into each of the last 2 chain, and then slip stitch in that same stitch, the first along the head, and then slip stitch into each of the next 2 stitches along the head, and then work 4 chain, work 1 half double crochet in the second chain from the hook, and 1 slip stitch into each of the last 2 stitches and slip stitch into that same stitch on the head, and then slip stitch around the head, and just slip stitch at the top of the lighter green and fasten off. And that's the snail done. I'll just weave in these ends and I'll be back and we'll just finish it off. Now there's the snail. To make it up, we just add beads. I just stitch them on with black thread and I embroider on a little mouth just around in there. I just make a loop of red and then stitch it down the bottom, and often just one on each side. Now the last thing to do is just add a small white dot in the centre of each of these 2 beads. There's the finished snail. The size is 7 centimetres wide by 5.5 centimetres, or 2 3/4 inches wide by 2 inches. If you've liked my video, please like, subscribe and share. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest and Patreon. The details are in the description below, along with the details of my website where I have my patterns and the details of my Facebook group. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.